All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to break down a story that seems simple on the surface, but has this huge lesson about money and building real wealth. It's called the Parable of the Pipeline.
Now, you might think this sounds like some old folk tale, but trust me, hidden inside this story about two friends is a completely different way of looking at how we earn a living. And if you stick with me, it might just change how you think about your own income. So, our story kicks off in this beautiful little village. But this village has one major problem. They need a reliable source of water, and they need it bad. And living in this village are our two main guys, Pablo and Bruno. They're best friends, they're young, they're ambitious, and you know what? They share the exact same dream, to become the most successful people in the whole village. Then one day, this incredible opportunity just falls into their laps. The village mayor announces a job. He needs people to carry water from a spring way up on the mountain all the way down to the village's cistern. And the best part? They'll get paid for every single bucket they bring down. And right here, this is the moment where their shared dream splits into two completely different paths. It all comes down to how they approach the work. It's the strategy of carrying buckets versus the vision of building a pipeline. So Bruno, he gets to work immediately. He's thrilled. His whole plan is simple. Just work harder. To make more money, he figures, I'll just get bigger buckets and make more trips. He's laser focused on what he can get right here, right now. But Pablo, he's a little different. After a few days of hauling heavy buckets, his back is aching. The daily grind is just exhausting. And he starts thinking, wait a minute, there has to be a better way to do this. And that's when the big idea hits him. What if, instead of carrying buckets forever, he could build a pipeline? So Pablo, all excited, runs to Bruno with this game-changing idea. And what does Bruno do? He laughs. He thinks it's totally insane. Why waste all that time building something when there's good money to be made right now? To Bruno, building a pipeline would just get in the way of earning more cash today. And just like that, the two friends go their separate ways. So how did their big choices play out? Well, the results couldn't have been more dramatic. The difference between their lives becomes obvious almost overnight. Bruno sees instant results. His income shoots up. He's living large, buying a bigger house, enjoying his money. Meanwhile, Pablo was still stuck carrying buckets just to pay the bills. And he's spending every spare moment, weekends, evenings, digging in that hard, rocky soil. And this is where it gets tough, right? This is all about delayed gratification. For months, Pablo has pretty much nothing to show for all his extra work. After a year, the villagers are actually making fun of him, calling him Pablo the Pipeline Man. But he just keeps his eye on the prize. He never loses sight of that long-term vision. He just keeps digging. And while Pablo was building, Bruno's work-harder strategy started to crumble. All that constant, heavy lifting started to take a serious toll. His back was stooped, his body was wearing down, and because of that, he started carrying less and less water. And that meant he was earning less and less money. I mean, this chart says it all, doesn't it? You can see Bruno's income starts out really high, but then it just slowly fades away as his body gives out. And Pablo's? It starts at practically nothing, but once that pipeline is done, boom, it skyrockets past Bruno's and just keeps on climbing. And then the day finally came. Pablo finished his pipeline. And suddenly, water was flowing into the village nonstop. It didn't matter if Pablo was working, eating, or even sleeping. The water flowed. And because the water flowed, his income flowed too. He had built a system that worked for him 24/7. So, great story, but what does it actually teach us? Well, it's a really powerful metaphor for the two basic ways we can all earn a living. Bruno's method, we call that bucket carrying. And honestly, it's what most of us do. We trade our time, our effort, directly for a paycheck. Want to earn more? Well, you've got to work more hours, maybe get a second job. In other words, you have to carry more buckets or get bigger buckets. But here's the huge problem with this strategy. It's a trap. See, there are only 24 hours in a day. And if you get sick, or you get older, or for any reason you can't show up to trade your time for money, your income stops. Just like that. But then there's Pablo's way of thinking, pipeline building. This is all about putting in the work up front to build a system, an asset that brings in income over and over again. In the real world, a pipeline could be anything: investing in the stock market, starting a business, writing a book. You do the hard work once, and that asset can keep paying you for years. And that, right there, is the real magic of a pipeline. It completely separates your income from your time. It gives you security, it gives you freedom, and it makes sure that money keeps flowing into your life whether you're actively working or not. So after hearing the story of Pablo and Bruno, the lesson naturally kind of turns back on us, right? It forces us to ask a pretty direct question about how we're living our own lives. Think about it for a second honestly. Is your entire income based on you showing up every day to carry buckets? Is your financial security totally tied to the number of hours you can put in? And that leads us to the final and maybe the most powerful question this whole parable leaves us with. It really doesn't matter how small you start. The important thing is just to begin. So, what system, what asset, what pipeline can you start building starting today to create a much more secure financial